Well, it's time for us to take a look at some of our news from around the world and the United States for this Tuesday, November 29th. There's been another shooting at a campus. In this case, a man was shot by police after he apparently intentionally ran down several people and then got out of the car with a knife and began to stab people. The initial reports were that he had been shooting people himself, but apparently he did not have a gun. He's been described as a Somali, but he is a legal permanent resident of the United States. Witnesses said that he had a crazed look in his face. There's been no speculation as to whether or not he was on drugs, but there has been speculation. They have called this an act of terrorism. Trump continues to make claims that millions of people voted illegally in the recent presidential election, although there has been no evidence put forth yet to prove that. Certainly according to the White House, as they are defending the recent outcome of the election, and not even so much the outcome as the process itself. The recount in Wisconsin will begin this Thursday. That's something that a number of people are looking forward to, as this is, it's actually a bit of a long shot for Hillary Clinton as far as that goes, but it's something which is, because of the possibility of hanky-panky or vote fluffing, whatever it was, the fact that they're doing a recount in a place where it's over a 27,000 vote lead, nobody really expects the recount to come out any differently. If it does, then that could open an investigation of its own. In Cuba, the nation has turned out to bid farewell to Fidel Castro in kind of scenes that were reminiscent of what happened in the Soviet Union when Brezhnev died. Lots and lots of people crying openly. It's almost as if they actually loved their dictator. The big news from Europe is what Brexit is going to do, not just to the European Union or what's left of it, but also to England itself. And with oil prices going up, it all seems to be tied together right now as OPEC is trying to position themselves by calling for a curb on how much oil they are producing. In light of what's going on in Europe, it looks like the whole world financial situation right now is delicately balanced on a razor's edge. Also, back in the United States, Australian airline Qantas has now bailed out of a deal because the U.S. regulators blocked it, saying basically that their idea of growing Qantas traffic through a partnership with American Airlines was going to give them too much of a market share. So regulators intervened, and Qantas said, well, that's fine, we're done. We're not going to do that anymore. And it looks like President Putin of Russia will be the one who is going to officially give American actor Steven Seagal his Russian passport this coming Friday. That's right, the American applied for Russian citizenship earlier, I believe a couple of months ago. This month it was announced that Putin actually signed legislation giving him Russian citizenship. He said the whole point of it is that he believes that Russia and America should be friends, and so he's working to do his part to make that happen. That is our worldwide news for today. Hopefully you heard a couple of stories that you aren't going to get in other sources. I try to get the news from places like TASS, Reuters, The Telegraph, as well as the Daily Mail and other non-American news sources so that we get a picture of what's actually happening. There is one other story which I just want to touch on in light of the deadline that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers gave for protesters to get out of that land that they've been protesting on, a very firm December 5th deadline that no one will be allowed. They've now backpedaled a little bit and said that no one's going to be forcibly removed. However, no protesting is going to be permitted except in the so-called free speech zones. That's something we're going to take a look at, hopefully here in one of our commentaries, possibly today. Check out below. We've got our Alaska news and our commentary still to come right here. If you like what I'm doing, please do what you can to make this continue. You can go to radiofreespeech.com and follow the links to become a Patreon sponsor, or you can buy a sponsorship there as well. That's radiofreespeech.com. And coming soon, we're going to have an interactive discussion, possibly with some phone lines, and your voice getting on the internet as well here. Radiofreespeech.com. Check it out. I'm Steve Floyd. Thanks for being with me today.